The industrial dishwasher incident. At the back of a busy fast food restaurant where the air is thick with steam, fryer smoke, and the nonstop clatter of plates and trays, sat the industrial dishwasher, a hulking metal box designed to blast dishes clean with jets of near boiling water, conveyor belts, and churning gears. A worker was loading trays into the machine, rushing to keep up with the mountain of dirty dishes piling up. One slip of his arm, and the conveyor pulled him in. Just when you thought having a machine to do the dishes for you was convenient, it decided to clean up the worker too. Inside, superheated jets pummeled him with pressurized water hot enough to peel skin away on contact. The conveyor forced him deeper, where rotating brushes and gears shredded clothing and tore into flesh. Bones snapped as his body was crushed against the mechanical arms meant to scrub trays. Workers nearby heard the screams but couldn't shut it down fast enough as the system wasn't designed for quick stops. By the time the machine was forced open, what remained was horrific. A body mangled almost beyond recognition, skin blistered and slawed off, muscles carved open by steel parts, and blood mixing with the wash water as it drained. The dishwasher had done its job a little too well. The soda machine incident. This next situation takes place during the 2000s inside a fast food restaurant. The air smelled of frying oil, the floors were slick with grease, and the soda fountain hummed endlessly, pumping out gallons of syrupy drinks. Workers moved between fryers, grills, and registers, surrounded by the roar of kitchen chaos. Meanwhile, a slow leak had been dripping beneath the soda machine for days. What nobody realized was that the wires inside were faulty, and the mixture of liquid and electricity turned the floor into a hidden trap. A worker moved in to fix it, mop in hand, and the second his shoe touched the puddle, the current hit. The shock locked his body upright instantly. Muscles seized, jaw clenched, and his arms flailed uncontrollably as electricity surged through every nerve. His coworkers watched, horrified, as he convulsed violently against the machine, slamming into the counter while the smell of scorched flesh filled the air. There was no way to pull him free. Anyone who tried would have been hit with the same charge. For nearly a minute, the current rattled his body until finally it gave out, dropping him lifeless to the sticky, fizzing floor. By the time the power was cut, it was too late. A machine built to serve up endless refills had just served up a fatal jolt, leaving nothing but silence and the sharp sting of burned wires. The grease incident. Inside a fast food kitchen, the air reeked of fried oil, the tile floors were slick underfoot, and behind the counters, machines hissed and clattered nonstop. Workers hustled between fryers, grills, and sinks, trying to keep up with the flood of orders. In the middle of it all sat the grease trap, a recessed pit that collected the boiling runoff from fryers, hidden beneath a metal cover and filled with scalding liquid fat. During the rush, one worker stepped too close. The cover wasn't secured, and with a single misplaced foot, he slipped and dropped straight into the pit. The plunge wasn't far, but it was into hell itself. The moment his body hit the searing grease, the burns were immediate and catastrophic. Skin blistered and peeled in sheets, muscle fibers scorched, and the nerves fried in an instant. He thrashed violently, trying to claw his way back out, but the grease was dense and suffocating. Every breath pulled fumes and droplets into his lungs, where the hot fat burned his airway from the inside. His screams turned into gurgles as the trap swallowed him deeper, coating every inch of him in boiling sludge. Coworkers rushed forward, but there was no safe way to help, not without being cooked alive themselves. By the time the system was shut down, the man had already gone still, floating face down in the pit. His body was swollen, blistered, and blackened, barely recognizable as human. The walk-in freezer incident. In the back of a fast food restaurant, beyond the fryers and grills, stood the walk-in freezer, a metal room colder than winter, lined with stacked boxes of patties, fries, and frozen desserts. Workers went in and out all day, hauling supplies while the heavy door slammed shut behind them. To most, it was just another part of the job, a quick chill before stepping back into the heat of the kitchen. But on this night, the latch didn't click the way it should have. A worker stepped inside, arms full of frozen boxes, when the door swung closed and sealed him in. The freezer roared quietly around him, fans pumping frigid air, the temperature plunging well below zero. He pounded on the steel, shouting for help, but the kitchen had gone quiet. quiet. Nobody heard. Minutes stretch into hours, his breath fogged white with each gasp, fingers stiffening as frost formed on his skin. The cold gnawed through his clothes, blistering patches of exposed flesh, turning his lips blue and his body numb. He tried to move to stay warm, but exhaustion set in. The shivering slowed, replaced by sluggish movements and waves of disorientation. By morning, he was slumped against the wall, frozen solid. His skin was molted blue and black from frostbite, his hands locked in rigid claws, his eyes wide but glazed over with ice. When coworkers opened the door, they found him stiff and lifeless among the frozen boxes, his body preserved like inventory. The meat grinder incident. In the kitchen of a fast food restaurant, the meat grinder was one of the most unforgiving machines on site. A heavy steel hopper sat above a rotating screw built to chew through pounds of raw beef and spit it out on the other side in a neat pile, ready for patties. Workers dreaded cleaning it because the blades inside didn't care whether it was product or flesh. They shredded everything. One evening, a worker stayed behind to sanitize the grinder after the dinner rush. The machine was supposed to be switched off, but in the chaos of closing time, power still ran to the motor. He leaned in, cloth in hand, reaching into the hopper to scrub the inside. One slip was all it took. His arm slid too far, caught instantly by the screw, and the grinder pulled him down with brutal force. Bones snapped like dry twigs as his arm was crushed and drawn deeper. He screamed, thrashing, but the blades worked faster than anyone could react. His shoulder followed, then his torso, dragged inch by inch into the rotating steel. The machine treated him like another load of meat, feeding his body through with a wet, tearing sound. By the time coworkers reached the switch, it was already too late. What remained on the other side was unrecognizable. Flesh pressed into ribbons, bone fragments mixed with fat, blood spreading across the prep counter like spillage from a broken pipe. The grinder had finished its work before anyone could pull him free. What they found wasn't a man anymore, but something processed, a body dismantled into parts no one could separate from the machine. The deep fryer incident. In 2007, inside a fast food restaurant during the dinner rush, the kitchen was a mess. Oil hissed and bubbled in towering fryers, baskets clattered, timers beeped, and the air was thick with grease heavy enough to cling to your skin. Workers slipped in and out of stations, moving fast to keep up with the orders piling in. One worker, carrying a heavy crate across the slick floor, lost his footing. In an instant, his body lurched forward, and with no time to grab hold of anything, he toppled headfirst into the open vat of boiling oil. The reaction was instant and catastrophic. At over 350 degrees Fahrenheit, the oil cooked him. His face and chest blistered on contact, skin bubbling before peeling away entirely. He flailed desperately, but the weight of the fall drove him deeper into the vat, wedging his body inside like food dropped for frying. Each frantic inhale only dragged superheated vapor into his lungs, scorching his airway and sealing his throat shut. His screams came out as choked gurgles, drowned by the roar of boiling grease. Coworkers rushed forward but recoiled instantly. The splashing oil burned anyone who got too close. By the time the machine was cut off, it was too late. The oil had turned red, bubbling with fragments of flesh. When he was finally pulled free, his upper body was charred black in some places, shredded and peeled in others, cooked through like battered meat. If you've made it this far, you've just sat through some of the most absurd, grisly, and downright miserable ways people have met their end in the world of fast food. That's all I've got for now. So maybe skip the late night fryer cleanup, keep both hands out of the ice cream machine, and for the love of everything greasy, watch your step around the soda fountain.